says, Tommy, that is no way to speak to anyone here or anywhere else. And all the class are laughing. And little Tommy says, okay, miss. But my mum says that to my dad every day.
Very good. Very good indeed.
Oh, on that note, welcome to the Digital Download, everybody. I am Tracy Borreson, and I'm very excited to be guest editing this episode of the Digital Download. And today we're going to be talking about branding in the digital world. And I'm really excited for this topic because my entire experience is in marketing and branding. And I think there's still this kind of gap of what we think marketing and branding is historically and what marketing and branding is in the digital world. So we're going to talk about that today. And I want to give all of you guys a chance to get into the conversation. So we're going to have we're going to kind of split format today. So we're going to have some content that we're going to be discussing so we can learn some things about digital branding, what works. We're also really interested in what you guys are experiencing, your questions that you have. So as we go through all of the examples that we have prepared for today, please feel free to pop in your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your perspectives, your insights, all of the good things, because we want to hear that as well. And also, please say good day if you are here joining us in the comments, because we would love to say good day to you as well, whether it's afternoon or morning for some of us. Okay, so I have a fun little exercise for intros that we're going to start with today, which is a surprise for everybody except me, because I'm the one who planned it. And I would love for you guys in the chat who are watching us live to participate as well in the chat. So our intros today are: who are you? Where in the world are you? And what's one thing that you love about your digital brand? You guys get to choose. There's no right or wrong answer. What's one thing that you love about your digital brand? So I will start because it's only fair, because I'm the one who knew the question. I'm Tracy Borreson. I am located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where it is currently 7 a.m. So we'll see how my words flow out at this time in the morning in terms of hosting. And one of the things that I really love about my personal brand is the authenticity. So I'm all about authenticity. I've made my digital brand all about authenticity because that, thanks, Eric, for participating in the chat. And it's like my own unique brand of authenticity, right? I say what I want. I share what I want. I don't share what I don't want. And I found a really great vibe on what I do and what I don't share in my digital voice. So that's something that I'm very proud of. All right, everybody. I'm going to start with Tim.
So I'm Tim Hughes. I'm winging it now, trying to remember what the questions are. I'm in London. It's currently 2:00 in the afternoon for me. And what's branding for me? I love the authentic piece, what you talk about, Tracy. For me, I have a mission in life, which is that the mission that I'm on is to change the world. I've completely reinvented sales and marketing, and what I want to do is change the world for people to understand that sales and marketing has changed, and it needs to change, and this is where it's going to be from now on.
Boom, completely in line with our topic for today. This is why we have Tim. And there's Tara being my assistant in the private chat. Thanks, what I asked you. Yeah. Thank you, Tara. Eric.
Hi, thank you, Tracy, for a great introduction. I'm Eric from Crux. We're part with DLA Ignite. I'm based in Aberdeen in Scotland in the afternoon. One of the many things we share with our cousins in England is a time zone. What's that?
It's one of the only things, isn't it?
What do I like about my personal brand? It comes down to it allows me to connect with great people. That's it. Meaningful connections and grow meaningful connections with people. Short and sweet. That's it. That's it.
Awesome. Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm Tim's business partner, and I live. For those of you that are not in England, you know where London is, kind of up and to the right of London in that lumpy bit out in East Anglia, sort of midway between Ipswich and Norwich. And what do I love about my brand? Well, music is very integral to who I am. So normally my brand has, my personal brand talks about what I do at DLA Ignite, and it also talks about music. And that's proven to be a fantastic tool for engaging people that also love music. And that means that I make friends with them. Sometimes they buy things, sometimes we just are friends. And in fact, somebody that's very active on our various communities and networks that we have, I decided I was playing lots of blues and I needed a blues name. And he suggested the insertion of Lee in the middle always works really well. So I did change my name for a while to Adam Lee Gray because it seemed to be very bluesy.
Pretty good.
Very bluesy.
That's really good.
Love it. Thanks, Adam. Tara.
Hello, everyone. I am Tara, and I'm based in Oklahoma, which is right kind of in the central part of the U.S., and it's 8 a.m. here. I would say probably about my personal brand is just the ability to have to bring people to the table and make it, I don't know, very diverse. And that's really important to me, passionate about belonging. And so I think that I have the ability to do that. And I just really like that. And it really fulfills not only my soul, but it allows me to really meet a lot of amazing people.
Awesome. And last but not least, Rob.
Don't distract him. He's flying a plane.
Good morning, all. I'm Rob Durant, founder of Flywheel Results, a DLA partner. I am located in Boston, where it is 9 a.m. and going to be approaching 90 degrees again today, in the middle of a heat wave. Brand, let's see. What do I have to say about brand? Yep, on screen. Actually, I'm very
You've
proud
got a
of
nice
my
chair
brand.
as well, haven't you?
No, I have a great chair.
Did you pay for that? Or was that free?
All free. It's all branding, man. No, truly, my brand, I like to say, at my core, I'm a teacher. And that is meaningful to me because I come from a long family of teachers, including my father. So it's very meaningful to me as well as true to my core.
Wow. I just love this. Because something that hopefully you guys all experienced in those introductions is that everybody has a different interpretation of what their favorite part of their personal brand is. And that is the fun part of a personal brand because it's personal to you. There's no right or wrong answer. It's about you and loving what you love about yourself. So that's going to be kind of the central crux of what we're talking about today. There you go. Extra. You're welcome, Eric. And so we're going to be talking through the first part of the show. One, I do want to remind you guys too, everybody did a very good job of sharing where they are from in the chat. But we would also love to hear what's your favorite part of your personal brand in the chat. So share that as well, because this is where the conversation comes. Where we were.
Can I just ask before we go? I don't think Fortune's ever been with us before. Fortune has just joined us.
Yeah.
Chin and Yenwa Fortune. What a fantastic name. I think Fortune's parents held her up and said, what will we call this beautiful young child? We'll call her Fortune, right? Fortune. My parents held me up and said, we'll call him Eric. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
it's
drew
like
the short straw, didn't you?
Yeah, who calls a beautiful, well, I don't know if it was beautiful. Who calls a brand new baby Eric? Yeah, Fortune, welcome. Good. Which part of South Africa are you in? I love South Africa. One of my favorite places in the world. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome, everybody, and welcome specifically our
Welcome.
new people. I am also fairly new to the digital download, so thank you, Eric, for that call out for our new members. Okay, so we have a few of us have some prepared collateral, some prepared discussion for today. So I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to share some examples of what we see in terms of digital branding, and then we're going to have a conversation around, I don't know, maybe the good, the bad, the ugly of what we see in digital branding today. So Tim, would you like to start with your share for today?
No pressure, Tim.
Feel the fear. Feel the fear.
Feel the fear.
Yes. So what I wanted to share was Wendy's post. Wendy's doing a set of videos, and which is 5 o'clock with Wendy, where she's talking with customers about certain aspects of what the customers are doing. So it's educational, but also, you know, it's also a brochure, because it's talking about what the customers are doing with the products. But you know, Wendy's, if you go look at Wendy's LinkedIn profile, she's very big on her personal brand. She does a lot of selfies, not about herself, but with customers, prospects, partners, that sort of thing. So you get pulled into her world. You start understanding who she is and start understanding aspects of what she does, you know, every day in business, because she meets lots of people because she's a managing director. But you do get this insight into in what she's about, and well, I do anyway, in terms of you get a feel for her life and her business.
Outstanding. And we can't mess with Wendy in any way because she's from Paisley. So she's one of the chosen ones in life. You know, Paisley. I grew up around Paisley. It's a fantastic place, and she will probably be very fierce as well, in a good way. In a good way too. I think that's the whole issue of branding. I think's lost its way. I think it really has lost its way. I mean, if you look up the sort of the academic side of it, the American Marketing Association says that a brand is a name, a term, a design, a symbol, or any other feature that identifies one seller's goods or services as distinct from others. But I think that needs a refresh, if I'm being honest, because I think that vagueness about that list again, a name, a term, a design, or a symbol, or any other feature, I think it's too vague. Just pulling back for this for a moment, I'm just gonna pop in something that you might agree with, you might disagree with, but that's the beauty of this. We don't fall out with each other. I think if you were to pressure wash all of that away and get down to get all the mud out the way and get down to the little gemstone that's there, I think more and more often now in 2022 and recent years, brand equals reputation more than anything else.
Well, anything else. Somebody once said, didn't they? Brand is what people say about you when you leave the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly it. And I think that the problem is that so often brand is associated with the physical attributes, you know, so it's this color, it's this logo, it's this catchphrase, it's whatever it is. And that's not brand, you know, so strong brands may have strong logos, you know, so what does the Coca-Cola brand mean to you? It means hot summers. It means water running down the outside of the glass. You know, what does Aston Martin? It means luxury. It means speed. You know, what does Rolex mean? It means dinner suits and going out in the evening. You know, whatever these brands mean. And I think that so often we kind of reverse engineer. Well, I've got to have a fantastic logo, and I've got to have this, and that's what I do before I start. But the reality is that, you know, Coca-Cola, Nike is a fantastic logo because anybody with a pen and paper can draw the Nike logo. Coca-Cola is a dreadful logo because nobody can draw the Coca-Cola logo. It's too complex, and nobody's even quite sure how you spell Coca-Cola. And, you know, it's fundamentally flawed, yet it's still a powerful brand because it has that emotional attachment. And I think the great thing about this space is that we each have the ability to put forward the things about us that define who we are, and more importantly, what we are, which people can then coalesce around. In my case, music. In your case, Eric, fun, you know, with the big live breakfast burrito and stuff like that. That doesn't undermine the professionalism or anything.
No.
But what it does do is it means that people can connect with you on a level that really matters. Because actually, I'm going to connect with Tim because he's passionate about collecting records and he's got a fantastic knowledge of music. I'm not interested in buying any social selling or social stuff from him. That's fine. I still, you know, you can still build the relationship. And then when I change job or whatever, at some point down the road, he may be exactly the person that I need to talk to for that. And I think that so often the problem is that people create a brand based on what they think they need to do to monetize who they are with their customers today, rather than thinking, what do I want? What do I want carved into my gravestone? That's the thing.
That. How often have we heard? I heard it. Not this week, but the week before. We're doing a major rebranding exercise. Okay, what is it? A new website with some new colours and a new font, a new typeface.
Yeah,
but that whole thing about
we're going to just reduce the size of the serif on the page.
How much is that costing you? £30,000. We're going to redo all
We've
our
done lots of focus groups, though, mate.
And does the phone ring more?
Well, that's my point. If we sit down and say what is our brand, and we've got some marketing leaders on the show today, it'd be great to hear their perspectives on this. If we sit down as a leadership team, or if you're a one-man band, sit down with yourself and a piece of paper and say, what is it that I need to be known for in this world? Now that might be a leader in this, or just marginally good at that, or whatever. What do I need to be known for? And the question is, do I have that reputation? Do people understand that is what I want to be famous for and known for? And whether it's my knowledge, my service-mindedness, my good person, do I have values? When we hear, well, our brand is our values, well, that's great. But do people know them, and do people associate them with your reputation? Do they think of you as best in class, or are you invisible because of them? If your brand is your products and services, great. But do those products and services and your people have a great reputation? Your reputation is, I believe, the reputation is the brand, because you could have the best logo. We could spend 30 grand on our website. We could spend $1 million on a fantastic new logo and amazing typefaces and all of that. But if your reputation sucks and it's in the pan, what's the point? Values are meaningless if your reputation is not great and you're not playing them out. If your brand's about quality, does the world agree? Does the world agree? It's a reputation for me.
Well, and I think that ties into what Adam said about the experience that other people have of you, right? This isn't really my opinion of myself. It's other people's opinion of me. If other people can show up and say, yes, they're about quality, then I'm living my values. But just far too often does the values exercise get stuck at, let's put something good on this list of values that we have. And then we'll go back to our day-to-day work, and our actions don't align with that whatsoever.
Because I just wanted to pick up what Kimberly said about fascinating insights and loving the conversation. Is that what our brand is for Digital Download?
Oh,
hopefully.
Well, when we decided to do it, it was actually part of it is also educating, but it was about giving fascinating insights and having a great conversation at the same time. Anyway, please, sorry, Tracy.
And can I add to what Eric was just saying? Actually, when I really started to kind of dig into my own personal brand, of course, I did a lot of values work, but I also even went back to people that I'd worked with, people that did know my reputation. And I asked them, like, how do I come across? What has it been like to work with me? And they actually gave me a lot of insights I actually didn't see in myself as well, and then I was able to really sit there, and I've told Tracy this story a lot of times. I sat in my floor with a lot of notebooks, and I wrote, and I asked myself a lot of questions to really get to kind of the crux again of who I am. And it just works today.
We get paid every time we say crux. So.
And I totally didn't even mean to do that, but I just wanted to play on that because it really is. It wasn't like I just walked out of my corporate career and just decided like, this is it. I had to do a lot of internal work as well.
I think this is actually really interesting because as an entrepreneur, although it's still work to do that, it's you, right? You can sit and journal and you can figure these stuff out. Once we're looking at this on a corporation level, we have people who have different interpretations of values that are coming to work and doing different things every day. And we also have, like in my experience, there's a lot of ego, shall we say, attached to how I show up and live the brand. And if that's different than how someone shows up and lives the brand, then like, this is my way. This is how we live the brand. What are your guys' thoughts on, like, now we're talking about a team bringing a brand to life, right? So it's not an entrepreneur is one person bringing a brand to life.
I'm glad you picked up on the bouncing back and forth, Tracy, because we have been doing that. We've been bouncing between a corporate's brand and an individual's brand. And in both cases, the AMA's definition of brand breaks down. The one word that I took issue with in the definition that Eric shared with us was seller, implying that one must be a seller to have
Hallelujah.
a brand.
Yep.
A corporation is made up of more than just salespeople.
Yep.
And while everyone is responsible for selling themselves in some way, shape, or form, most people don't embrace the term of being a seller. Yet we have a brand, we have a reputation. How many of us work on that intentionally?
That's brilliant, and you're absolutely right. That one word puts it into. It puts us back maybe 10 years when, and I go back 10 years in my career. If you'd walked into my office and said, "Who's responsible for branding, marketing?" would have been my response.
Yeah,
marketing.
Bring out Victorian manager, please.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And marketing. And by the way, why are you away from your desk?
Get back on the phone.
Yeah, look at the time. Little pocket watch comes out of it. Look at the bloody time. So yeah, back in my day, growing up through sales, it was anything to do with branding, the brand. You instantly thought marketing. We're now in a position where Robert, Kimberly, Fortune, Andrew, Gary, everyone on this chat, all of us now have the power, the project manager, the supply chain leader, the junior project engineer, the HSEQ person, HR, that we're now in the sphere of when these people mobilize their brand, their personal brand, and optimize their brand, we're now getting to the point where people are winning the battle over the brand, the old-fashioned brand, where it was about our logo and our brochures and our adverts and all of that. And so the people and their competence, quality, knowledge, and personality now winning the battle over the brand, as we knew it before.
Well, and I think, like, I know, Eric, you mentioned stats in terms of like Twitter followers, for example, of people who follow a brand, a company, versus people who follow a representative of that company. So I don't know if you have those handy because you say them all the time. Or go ahead.
What happened to him?
I'm going to say that. So Adam worked out that Cristiano Ronaldo has 7 times more Instagram followers than the top 10 brands in the world.
Put together.
So
Put
if you
together.
take the top 10 brands being Apple, Coca-Cola,
Google, yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo has 7 times more.
One person,
yeah.
And why is that? Why is that, panel?
Well, it's because people love people. People don't love brands and corporates.
He's a human. I can't cozy up to a Google.
I can't cozy up to a Google. Let me write that down.
I'm like envisioning cozying up to a Google, and it's funny. And this is the point, right? And so, like, yes, we kind of started this conversation talk about the individual people's brands, but this is actually, at the end of the day, we go back to the concept of a brand being the experience that people leave with. Disney is always my example. For instance, from the time I was a little kid, we would go to Disney World, Disneyland, and it would feel magical. And it felt magical because every single person who worked there showed up to make it feel magical. If you had like really grumpy people sweeping the streets and you had really rude people serving your food and all those things, it wouldn't feel magical.
That's Paisley.
Disneyland Paris wasn't quite as magical as the rest of the Disneys. I won't give them that. But that's the point, right? Because it's how each of the humans contributes to that. And it's the culture of the brand, right? Being lived by the employees. And if we ignore the fact that the employees have something to do with how this brand is perceived, especially people who are client facing, right? You are in like sales, yes, is client facing, but customer service, also client facing, right? People who you see, if the CEO is very active on social media, That's part of what you see, right? So how is this being consistent? How is this creating a specific feeling? Is it creating a specific relationship with a specific type of people, right? These are things that, Eric, you were talking about at the beginning, like going back to what is the root of a brand. And for me, it always comes back to it's the feeling. It's the feeling people have.
Got a feeling.
Absolutely.
Means
Can take one
believing.
person to yeah.
And Tracy,
That's
just to
a
pick up
great
on that
point.
Disney experience, I was working in Disney World for 10 years. They work hard at indoctrinating that. And that's part of it too. You can say your brand is this or your values are that. But if it's a poster on the wall and ends there, then is it really a value to begin with? What are you doing to reinforce that? What are you doing to live that?
Well, and I think a lot of corporate values, I don't like to specify in specific industries, but I have noticed myself specifically in the tech industry that values are just like, what sounds good? What should we care about? Should we care about,
Yes.
we're tech, so we should care about innovation, right? So let's put innovation up there. Let's put cares about people, because we'd just be terrible humans if we didn't care about people. And let's put all these things on the list. And then we're done. Values exercise, check. Right? And this is the biggest problem. We're not here to talk about hiring, but this is one of the biggest problems in hiring, because people see your values and they identify with the values. So then they get excited about coming to work there. And then they show up and you're like, oh, but this, would I say that this is cares about people? And I came here because I wanted to show up and care about people. And now I can't actually do that. So it's, then it's actually funny. Where was it in the chat? Graham was saying, is that brand overtaking and displacing individual personalities? In that scenario, yes, because the individuals aren't aligned. They haven't been brought into the company aligned. So if you're going to show up and represent,
aren't they increasingly one and the same thing though? You know, your personality, Tracy, is reflected in your personal brand. Now, I think that somebody said about how social media, it's not just about being authentic and taking your whole self, but it's about taking your best self into this environment. Because, you know, there are elements that don't translate well, you know, things that actually are private rather than personal that you don't want to put in the public domain. But actually, I always think that somebody has got the brand, the personal brand bit nailed when I read it. And I think, here's somebody, I kind of know what this person is like. This is somebody that I could be friends with. And I mean, it's really interesting when we coach people through the process, and you know, some of them just get this, and they're out there, and you read it and you think, I've never met you before, and I kind of feel that I have already met you. And who was it, Tim, that said it turns the first handshake into a hug?
Brian Fanzo.
Yeah, but what a beautiful saying, you know, because you feel that you know this person, you get an insight into who they are, what makes them tick, what they love, and you see all of those different touch points that you share with them. You know, we have a love of fine dining and travel and chairs, and you know, all of those different things that matter to us. And I just love the fact that that social enables you to qualify people in and out. And not from a sales perspective, but from a I like you perspective, or here's something that we have in common. And you know, you build that own little clique and community around those interests and loves that you have in your life. It's just so yeah, it is surpassing personality, but only in as much as it is personality. It's just a different label and something broader maybe.
Did you guys see the brilliant article / video series from Business Insider this week? I think it was actually Tim that brought it to our attention.
I don't think I did.
A 6-minute video with all the CMOs being interviewed in
Cannes.
In Cannes, yeah.
So there was the Cannes Lyon International Festival of Creativity back in June. Business Insider, Elissa Zhu and Julia Hood put this together, this video. Must have been a horrendous trip for them to have to go to Cannes and kick about in the sunshine and interview.
It looked far too hot, didn't it?
They look far too hot, absolutely. So they got marketing leaders and other operational sort of creatives from Diageo, Amazon, MasterCard, LinkedIn, TikTok, Accenture, Lego Group, Deloitte, EY Americas, Lowe's companies, and Snap together for this brilliant video. And they said, what's changed during sort of like the lead up to the pandemic, and what's going to stick with you? And there are some thumping statements made in there. Julia Golden, the Chief Product and Marketing Officer and Executive VP at Legos Group, said, "We really believe creativity is an essential skill for everyone in the world today and the world of the future. If you believe that creativity is not your job," and then she kind of stutters a little bit and says, whether you work in supply chain, whether you work in shipping, logistics, we really believe that everyone has to be creative. Susan Council, Chief Marketing Officer at Deloitte US, said, "Work is everywhere. We are everywhere as people. And that mix of what is both personal and professional has become very, very blurry. In that world, our employees have a lot of agency, and it's something we have to really think about and lean into." Why? Because it's becoming bigger than the brand. That agency that they have that she talks about. I mean, why are these people thinking about leveraging that agency that their employees have? Why is Julia saying we all have to be creative? For what purpose? It's to tap into the modern brand equation of reputation, personality, relationships, community, and all of that. There is a major, and there's so much gold in that video. When you look behind the words, ask why she's saying that. Why are they having think tanks and think groups to lean into the agency that their entire workforce have? Because the light bulbs are going on that actually it's not about our lovely Deloitte typeface and our logos and all of that. The power is in the people in the offices and working from home that are on our payroll. And how do we mobilize that and how do we optimize that? I thought it was excellent.
There's actually one person on there that's actually not name checked, which is a real big pity, because she's the one that, for me, is the thing that resonated with me most of all, which is that, and she said, "I would say that the biggest changes that we are dealing with as companies is how internal and external communications and marketing are one of the same. Every single day, there is something going on in the world that our employees want to be involved in. If we talk to them, the employees, internally, our employees are going to take that information externally, so that the lines between internal and external communications have completely collapsed. It's now one communication."
Yeah, she's the one person that doesn't have her name bar on there.
Doesn't have a name bar on it. No.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Yeah, terrific statement, thumping. So the big leaders and big companies are sitting around going, "Oh, the world has actually changed. They were right."
But has that filtered across the entire bandwidth of the company? So I can't help thinking that when I hear stuff like this, and we see these statements and these videos and whatever pop up from time to time, where they're loaded with incredibly valuable comments that really do light the way ahead for where we're headed and how work is transforming and has indeed already transformed. But it strikes me that a lot of these people are the CMO at Deloitte and the head of innovation at Lego, and so they're these people that work in arguably ivory towers. They're in this narrow silo where they're thinking in a very cerebral way about what's going on, and they're kind of projecting that. And then you get down to the people that are at the coalface, and they've got no idea about any of this stuff because it hasn't been communicated to them, and they really don't embrace the fact that we're all on this journey of change, and it's scary, and it is going to change your job, and it is going to make things very uncomfortable some of the time, but we don't have any choice. I think it was you, Rob, that said change is something that's either going to happen with you or to you, and actually you don't have any choice in this.
Yeah.
So, short answer to your question, Adam, no, it hasn't matriculated through the organization, and I can provide evidence. Wasn't it Steve Jobs who said, "I hire people for their talent, and then I get out of the way and let them do that"? Yes. I realize I'm paraphrasing, but that was the intent. And wasn't it Apple that said, "You must come back to the office"? That blew up in their face.
Yeah, very good point.
They had spent, was it $2 billion on a lovely new office? Hadn't
It
they?
was a
So,
pretty office. I get it.
yeah, Adam and I have both been there, and it's beautiful. I mean, you know, you can, it's like you can touch the side. You know, it's like
It was a
like a
donut.
museum. It's gorgeous.
I think this is an interesting part of the conversation though, because I think a lot of that, the work in the office, what the office looks like, how the office feels, right? Like that has been a big part of internal branding for a lot of these companies, especially the tech giants, right? The Googles, the Apples, the Facebook, right? Like they put so much money into creating their brand in a physical space. And so there was a level of attachment to, if we're going to execute on this brand promise that we promise people, people need to be in the space in order to do that.
Let me just clarify. When Tim and I went to California last time, we went to the Apple headquarters, and you definitely would say that. And in fact, by mistake, we went to the old Apple headquarters, and you would even say it about that. We also went to the Google campus, and it was like a derelict housing estate, like Castle Milk, Eric. You know, it's just absolutely shocking place. You know, those beautiful sculptures of the different Android things, you know, lollipop and ice cream and this kind of thing. They were basically broken. You know, the Android thing had an arm missing. It was just, the whole place was falling apart. So they don't all invest fortunes in this, I can promise you.
But they had slides.
They did, yeah, you're right. They did have.
Have you guys seen the Bill Burr, the comedian, his take on Steve Jobs? Really quickly, it's really funny. It just made me laugh when you mentioned Steve Jobs and Apple and all of that. He says he starts by saying Steve Jobs has changed the world, right? And the audience go, yeah, and he goes, fraud. He's a fraud. He's a fraud. He did nothing. There was 55 nicotine and caffeine-addled tech wizards sitting in a room shaking, and he would kick the door open and go, all right, you see that record collection of mine there? I want it in a box by Friday. And they're like, oh no, how do we do that? I want all of those records, and how do we put all of his records into a box? You've got a year. Cancel your holidays and all birthdays with the kids. See you later, guys. Anyway, sorry about
That might not be too far off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's also a level of, here's the big idea, right? This is what we're doing. You have the agency. You need to make this happen, because I don't actually know how to make that happen, right? If someone told me to put all the music records in a box, I would put them in a physical box and be like, here we go. I'm going on vacation.
Just put them out with the trash.
Yeah.
No, I don't put records in the trash. I have my record player. We can talk about records, Tim. But I think it's just, there's so many dimensions of this, right? When we get attached to like how much of our brand is attached to being in the office. And then why do we think that people need to be around slides or have napping pods? I haven't actually been to any of the campuses. I would love to go check them out. But like, do they need this? Do they need this to have that agency? Because now if we're talking about, like, this is what we're talking about today, branding in the digital world, right? So now if we're going to say these people aren't coming to the office, they don't get the feeling that we've created in the office. Have we done a good job as a brand creating that feeling with them through our actions? Because our actions is actually what's going to do it at the end of the day. None of us are in the same place right now. We don't have the same color background. We don't have the same things on the walls, right? We don't have identical work environments, yet we can come on the digital download and create a brand called the digital download that inspires and teaches people things, right? Like, how can we, I'd love to hear your guys' perspective from like a leadership perspective. How can we leverage that agency? How can we empower our people in a way so that we can give them the space to bring that brand to life?
I could show you, Tracy, who's doing it really well if you want to see.
Yes, I'd love to see. Look. I'd love to. Yes, Eric, please.
So I'm going to show you.
Can you share your screen?
I'll do that right now. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll play keyboards.
There we go.
Wait,
can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is it moving when I do that?
It's moving.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect, because I can't see you guys right now. So this is Chris Fleming. He's the CEO of a company called Cyberhawk. I've spoken about Chris before. I've spoken about Cyberhawk before. The reason is they are leaders in this. Chris Fleming is a chief executive officer of a very successful leading company in the drones, AUV, and visual data space. They're much more than just a drones inspection company. They're forging ahead in visual data and all of that. Chris is a leader in that whole thing about branding. Chris has a very interesting profile. And if you go into the kind of content that he puts out, because Chris understands that as a leader, as a CEO, his content, and he'll post about every day, needs to be rich and diverse and informative and even entertaining, giving insights into their technical prowess, insights into what it's like to work there and how cool it is. And also a bit of insight into him as a human being. So you'll get here's my Vistage team. Great to be with them. I was at a cool show the other day, and there's me paddleboarding with my daughter and having a nice time. You'll get this every day, every piece of content. Here's some of our team out doing some cool work in the desert. Here's a thing about wildfires. So here's a bit of an educational piece. That whole helping and heroing content and having that hub of kind of content that he's getting out there, which is how technically great they are. A bit of fun lifting up a guy at an event, because when he goes to an event, he's not just day one at the event in Munich. If anybody wants a call, give me a shout. He'll tell you
at the event in Munich.
If anybody wants a call, give me a shout.
Can I get a brochure?
Absolutely. Here's him just getting someone to take a quick video of the fact that to a meeting on an electric scooter that you can rent in Colorado, because Chris is into all things tech. I'm in a wonderful place. I haven't been in San Diego for years. Here's a lovely rainbow. Here's the team. What you're getting with this guy, here's me and my son on a paddleboard now fishing, because we love doing that. There's a bag of chips. So what you're getting with this guy in his life is, let me just see, can I come back to you guys now? You're getting complete insight into what it's like to work there, how cool technically they are, what our culture's like here, and the kind of things that we can do for you. At no point in there does he say, here's our latest brochure. If you want a drone, give us a shout. But here's the key. His CRO does the same. His CIO does the same. His CFO does the same. Their sales and marketing and technical teams do the same. And what happens is that people who don't even know or come anywhere near that space see them as being leaders, see them as being fun. Their brand is exactly what they play out on digital. They play out the brand every day.
And it's interesting, Eric, that what you say there, that it's because most people, when we started this conversation, branding was marketing, and then branding was maybe sales and marketing. But here you're saying branding is coming from the CEO. It's also coming from the CMO and the CRO, but it's also coming from the CIO and the CFO.
Yep, absolutely. All approaching it in slightly different ways, but all producing rich and diverse content that play out what this brand's all about, what it stands for, what our reputation is anchored in. Fun, technical excellence, customer service to the max, and forging new boundaries in industry. And it's played out every day. And for me, and for lots of other people who are jumping on this Cyberhawk bandwagon, even for people who'll never work with them, who could never hire them because they work in different industries, are enjoying being part of this, that whole thing that Tracy said, the feeling of the experience of being on this journey with them.
But I think that the other thing is that if you'd had enough of being in consulting and you thought, I want something fresh to do with my life, something entirely different, I want to be outside, what would you do? You'd think, actually, I could go and work for Cyberhawk. It's an aspirational brand, because look at the fun they have. Everybody's smiling, everybody's living their best lives, everybody's getting a pat on the back from the senior players within the organization because they're doing a great job. They're growing, they're going places, and you think, actually, I'd enjoy that. Yeah, it wouldn't be right for everybody, but actually, when you reach that crossroads in your life and you think, I want something entirely fresh, they won't have any trouble recruiting great people, will they?
And they don't.
Or they don't have problem recruiting great people.
A quick observation. They're adding one element to brand that you won't even find in your marketing textbook. They're adding who.
Who? Yes.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Who am I? I'm going to say it again, cozying up to.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
And so one of the other, we have the who, but I think this important part is if we don't show up and share that with people, then we have none of this, right? We aren't known as a company that's fun or innovative or any of those things. We don't have a long list of amazing prospects who want to come and work for us. We have to show up and show people it. Right?
Yes.
Just having that experience isn't the brand, because if I always say this too, is a brand is just in this little hole in the ground, not actually a brand, because it's only a brand if there's an experience with another person, if another person comes in and can see that, right?
Mm.
One of the important things about Cyberhawk is that they've invested as a company for everybody, especially the senior level executives, to show up that way every day. And that's what creates that feeling. That's what creates that connection. It doesn't exist if you don't show up every day.
It's not a company that's fun. It's people who are fun working at a company that embraces and supports it. The
Well put.
company itself cannot be fun. It's a company.
Yeah, well put. Yeah, it's a trading
Can we just
entity.
talk
Well
about
done,
that? I think we should talk about that for a minute, because
Well, Tim's
I
writing the
work
blog
for-
right now.
Tim's writing
Yeah.
6
I'm
blogs.
writing the tweets for the show, mate. I'm writing the tweet.
Tim, can you put John's comment up? He put an excellent comment, the last one.
Yeah,
About-
sorry.
I was about to
what
say
we
that
should
is
do.
excellent, John.
Spot on.
Community.
Yes.
and we've
Yeah.
been talking about community for the
I'll leave
last
it up for a
little
second.
bit. Yes, Tim's writing other notes. But this is the thing, right? Invite other people in. Invite other people into it. And you can't invite other people into it if people can't see it.
Or access.
I want to
it.
just go back to this fun thing for a second, because one of the things that I experienced on a corporate level historically is that this is our corporate brand of fun. And this is what we do for fun. And you will all come and you will do this, and we will have fun, and we will post about it on social media, and then we'll go back, right? Like I did this one, which theoretically sounded fun, where like a team event of archery tag. And I don't know if any of you have done archery tag, but what you do is you shoot each other with bows and arrows.
I'm
And
in.
they're like cushioned at the end, but you still can shoot like with legit amount of force. And people had bruised ribs and all these things coming out of this. And that was fun. That was the team
Legal
fun.
Well,
loved it.
there's that old saying, isn't there? The beatings will continue until morale improves. And it's exactly the
We're just
same
gonna make
thing.
it look like a fun activity.
I can imagine that they got the smiley photographs that they wanted, and then suddenly, why are you taking the arrows off me? We've got the photographs for social media. Everyone home now, and give me that beer back.
Yeah, we've been here for 2 hours, and that was the length of the team event. So now go back and get back to work.
Yeah.
And like that's dictated fun. And the difference is, like Cyberhawk, all of those people have fun in a different way, right? Like paddleboard fishing does not sound fun to me, but when I look at it, I can tell that he thinks it is fun.
Yeah.
Right? So you still get the fun vibe, even though that's not what I would choose for fun. And I'm sure each of the executives has a different thing that they find fun, but they have the agency to show up and share what's fun. So the other people who think that that's fun can come and hang out on their page.
Yeah.
I really love John's comment here. And I'm going to say something profound.
Stand by. Grab the end of the
ready?
desk.
So in the world of sports today, in the TV, this is the analogy in the world of sport and TV. So if you think about the shows like the shows, the talent shows, where what you're doing is in effect you're watching the show, but it's generally seen as two screens. So you're watching the show on the TV, but you're also talking to people on social media about the show.
Yeah.
So what they've done with the show and what they do with sports, they don't do it very well here in the UK, but they do it excellently in the US, is that there is a sports game taking place within an arena, but because they've got great Wi-Fi, the sport game is actually taking place outside in the car parks and actually taking place in the homes. So there's a conversation that takes place. And what companies haven't worked out is that they still think that branding is about the people within the organization. And John hits the nail on the head, which is it's about community. When Andrew, John, Suzanne, Nicola, Fortune basically talk in the digital download, they are DLA Ignite employees. They are part of our community. They are part of the greater part of the company, and that's the thing that brands need to basically break out of today. It's not just about the employees. Yes, you've got to empower them, but how do you empower the Garys and
and all the people that are at the tailgate party in the car park?
Yeah. How do you get those people to basically come on and have a conversation like this? So you did the OGV session, didn't you, this week?
OGV
Eric?
Energy Live, yep.
Yeah, OGV Energy Live. How many people did you have on it?
So we had about a dozen industry-leading guests in the field of skills and training for the energy sector, and we had 255 people on watching the show and interacting with it.
200. Eric's very modest about it. 255 people who were part of OGV Energy's brand at that point.
That's right. Yeah,
that is just awesome.
Absolutely huge.
And I'm going to say something controversial, which he's going to kick me on the desk. And I know that the competition hate him for it.
Well, they hate OGV Energy even more. Yeah,
the competition to OGV Energy are all over our social media because they hate the fact that they're doing it. That just shows how much how good it is. But this is John's point is just it's the community of the brand and the people outside it.
So here's the thing.
That's the digital empowerment. Sorry, that's the
part of that whole thing that you're talking about is played out on social media, right? And this is so I always ask organizations and leaders, we always ask organizations and leadership teams when we first meet them, who runs the most successful LinkedIn live show that's about your sector, and it's interesting. It's led by someone in your sector. It has suppliers and customers and new innovation and tech and development and all. Who runs that LinkedIn?
Nobody does that.
Yeah, I know. No one does. No one does.
Yeah.
No one ever does. But
so that's the chance, isn't it?
How much training did you have to set up this show, Tim?
Me?
Yeah. How much training did you? Yeah, and did you invest $100,000 in setting up the kit?
No.
And we've been going for over a year.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of the leading shows about digital transformation on the internet.
I contacted Sam Kelly, my mate in Ireland, who was doing a show, and I said, Sam, you're doing a great show on Restream. Show me how to use it. 20 minutes, and I'm away.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and then you and I got together, and then we've been doing this for a year.
Has anyone ever sent you a note saying, I tuned into your digital download, Tim Hughes, and I found the production value and scripting appalling, and I will be disconnecting from you forthwith?
No, but they will do now.
They will do now. Yeah, absolutely. So the fact is, if part of all this branding and feeling and reputation of all that is being played out on social, short form posts and content are going to get you so far. Who is running the leading podcast in your sector or the leading LinkedIn Live or social media live? Because we go across, I think we're probably on about 20 channels today. Who's doing that? Because look what it does. It brings community from the tailgate party into the arena.
Yeah, and let's come back to the community aspect. People wanting to hang out with people, about feeling a part of something, right? Like this, it's not about. And when you go back to that original definition, right, it speaks very highly still of the colors, the logo, and people now in the digital world, we extrapolate that to production value, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I gotta have an intro video and a countdown thing, and I gotta have sponsors, and I gotta have all these. No, you don't have to have any of that. You have to show up and have a conversation about something you care about.
Yep.
And you can't even have music.
About.
Yeah, there's some Twitter Spaces people I know, and one of them put out a question recently: why aren't brands talking to us about sponsoring our shows? And I said, because it will destroy your show. and I was told I was being controversial.
Ooh.
It's like, well, of course it does. I mean, as soon as you stand up and say, "This is the digital download brought to you by Coca-Cola. It's a lovely drink." Everyone's tuned out.
Unless I have to do one of because we have a sponsor on another show. Other LinkedIn lives are available
On request.
and Kevin jumped in and said, "I'm 150 quid lighter due to Eric Doyle." Kevin Watt from the MD of KCI. It's I think it's down in the chat there. So unless it's done in a kind of like community-based way where these companies can actually come up, so it's not about the size of the company, it's not about Coca-Cola, it's mid-sized companies coming in to sponsor a fun event, a big networking event, and you change it out every week, and it gives an opportunity for people to step forward. Just clarifying that for those of us who do actually leverage the sponsor network.
I think it's actually, but that's also important to know, right? Like if you were going to go get a sponsor, why are you getting a sponsor, right? Are you sponsored? Maybe there's somebody in this chat today that's like, oh my God, this is like so my jam, and I would love to like sponsor one of your shows. Right? You never know. When you show up and you create the space in the community, someone might be like, this is exactly the message that I'm trying to share with the world, and how can we collaborate? How can we whatever? Again, you give access to, I don't understand why the whole jam thing is so funny. Eric, really
this space for rent. You can get your logo added here. We'll look like NASCAR drivers.
Yeah. Oh man, sorry. That.
So next week we need to come on with like logos on.
Well, I'll be sponsored next week.
What's that on your shirt, Eric? Don't know. Nothing. Buy my jam. I don't know why buy my jams just tickled me so much. Buy my jam. And my wife used to run a jam company.
Your wife used to run a jam.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, an award-winning jam company. Oh man, that's got a tear right out my buy my jam.
Hey, I would say if there's this like amazing chocolate company locally, so if you're ever in Alberta, Canada, Jasic chocolate. If they wanted to sponsor me, I don't even care what conversation they want me to have. I'll wear Jasic chocolate, whatever. You can give me free chocolate. I'm gonna make sure they see this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Did you just say they're the best chocolate company in all of Canada?
Fast forward to 57 minutes.
Best chocolate company in all the world.
57 minutes.
To be fair, they can get the cucumber flavor in chocolate. I didn't even know there was enough flavor in cucumber to put it in chocolate. Now we're off on it. But anyway,
cucumber
if
chocolate.
If you're here, come check it out. I can't ship it though because it'll go. This is such an amazing conversation today, you guys. Does we have any like final thoughts on branding in the digital world that everybody needs to remember? So we talked about a lot of amazing things today.
Final thoughts, just in summarizing. Yeah. So the realization, we heard it from those big, powerful companies, big, super wealthy, hundreds of thousands of employees companies, that the management teams are now sitting down and going, it was about the people all along. It was about the people all along. How do we, that agency that they have, the amount of power that they have, the amount of connectivity that they have, we might have 50,000 followers on our LinkedIn page. If we count up just the first 100 of our team, that's 300,000 people that they're connected to. And how do we get them to build influence and build relationships and all of that, and take that personalized view of what the brand was and what it now is?
I would emphasize what Eric said earlier on, the question that he put to everybody, which is who runs the successful LinkedIn Live podcast or in your vertical or market.
Yeah,
because there's an opportunity. What it's been proven is that you can pick up that particular thing, run with it, and outperform the competition. There's a clear competitive advantage just by doing a live stream like this.
That's true. And it's easy. Tim will show you how.
Yeah, of course.
I would say recognize that you as an individual have a brand and be intentional about it.
Yeah.
I work with recruiting a lot. So if you're applying for a job, first know your brand and then make sure it's aligned with the company that you're potentially going to represent.
Amen.
Rob, I love that intentionality. You've said it like 2 or 3 times today, and I absolutely agree with you. And I also want to go back to what John said about not only building a brand, but building a community. I think it's absolutely critical.
Brand community. Adam, last chance for genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's on his tombstone.
Last chance for genius.
Last chance for genius, mate.
Who was it that said, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken"? You know, at the end of the
Oscar
day,
Wilde.
thank you. You are your only USP, and you're the best thing you've got. So, does it mean that everyone's going to like you? No, but some people will love you, and that's a big step forward.
Beautiful.
And I think there's so much opportunity to create love amongst people for your brand, but only if you show up and show it to people. So remember to show up as well. All right, that's it, you guys.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us for the
Thank
digital
you.
download today.
Tracy,
Come back
that was,
next week.
that was
Well done,
amazing.
Brilliant.
Tracy.
Thank you,
Well done,
Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. That was awesome.
What's that in the private chat? Tell us to do it next week. Oh, that's a bit
Excellent. Well done, Tara.
No pressure.
harsh, Tracy. It's a bit harsh.
Bye,